Want to start with you, sir. You're a little under the weather,
Yes,
but
sir.
have you been grinding? What's going on?
I have been. Thanks. Yeah, dude. A little fatigued at the moment. That's what I'm under the weather for. But I've been burning the candlestick at both ends, so to speak.
Why you're
ha-
sick?
what's that?
That's why you're sick.
Yeah, kind of catches up to you. And I feel like I'm like right before like it being really bad. I think I kind of just caught it, fortunately, so I've just been getting a lot of rest. But yeah, been having some good meetings about value mentality. Had a meeting with the advisor yesterday. We have an intern now, this girl Jordan, who's fantastic, and she we're just trying to really get everything put in place so that we could probably raise money next year and make it be very straightforward, simple. Because really, I mean, even off of Tanner's thing, like he's Temple of Doom. He goes crazy, but he's like, I feel like we've gone as far as we can go without raising money. And I'm like, well, that's what I told you about. That's why we're putting pieces in place to raise money. That being said, if it, the things we want to raise money about are influencer outreach, try to get it to
Yep.
go viral.
Yep.
Uh, like of course, product development, product inventory. And so for me right now, I'm trying to like kind of map out, well, what would it look like a return on that product? If we put $50,000 into inventory, what would we expect to get back if we sold all of it? It's all the same. You're doing balance sheets and projections like you would for a film. Um, and then we'd want to do marketing, of course, and then collaborations and events and everything. But I mean, in the meantime, all that can kind of happen on its own. We have good products and we're kind of like trickling through, selling an item every week, like online, and then we really make our money at these pop-ups. We just did one at Sportsman's Lodge last weekend. That really took a lot out of me.
Lassie. Why did it take a lot out of you? Too
Um,
schlepping.
Schlepping. I mean, you've done the event with me.
I've done the event. It was a lot of.
Yeah. And this one is like, you're there from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Oh God, that's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's not, it honestly could be worse. You're chilling there. It's kind of fun, but like for whatever reason, I just get exhausted after.
Are you the only one at these? Were you the only
No,
one there? Tanner was
not
there.
this time. The intern when Jordan was there,
Oh,
helped me set up. She's great. Tanner came pretty dang early. Tanner's girlfriend came at some point. My mom came at some point.
wait.
Um, and yeah, dude. So that and then like the pickleball coaching stuff is fantastic. But you know, like the last 2, 3 weeks I was doing it every day. So I finally just took like 2 days off.
Yeah, it's just about balancing, and that's the hardest thing to do because you're creating your own chaos, and there's pros to all this shit. But it's like you lean too heavy in one direction, other things go to the wayside. Like if I go too crazy on TikTok, then like I'm not writing scripts or I'm not meeting people. It's like you got to keep all these things in check and just figuring that out for yourself. You're the one who's leading all that. It's difficult.
Real quick, I met the producer of the pickleball movie the other day, an exec producer or whatever. They're like scouting stuff at the pickleball club.
Hey, remind me again, not to interrupt, but like where are you at with that? You auditioned for it?
Yeah.
Bro, the crazy thing about you're like completely in the whole circle of that whole fucking movie, it seems, but you're not in it. It's weird.
Crazy.
Okay, so you talked to the guy. What was that like?
Uh, well, it's funny. I was like just at the pickleball club Friday night. It was like a big event thing, and I was talking to someone, and then Brad and Kim, who are the supervisors on it, they're great. They come over to me and they're like, "Dude, I want you to meet someone like important. They come quick." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I come and meet this guy, and this guy is just like, he's like doing his thing, like taking photos of pickleball, like does not care about meeting me at all. And then I kind of started pressing him a little bit, like within reason, like. like asking him how it's going and stuff. Because the first thing she said was that I auditioned for that part, and he just like was like, "Oh, okay, cool," and uh, and then I just kind of stayed with it and was genuinely interested in what they had going on, and then we just left it. It was like whatever. But
Interesting.
it was nice of our friends to try to get me face to face.
No, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's wild, bro. Like, yeah. What else? You had mentioned you were thinking about putting not stand up, but sketch. Is that still a thing that you're considering?
I have been writing material, I will say.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, just my notes, but like,
Yeah.
yeah, I do keep writing stuff down. And I told Tanner the other day, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna write everything, and then you're gonna just show up and perform it.
Okay, so you guys are like the duo. It's definitely you and Tanner.
Not definitely. I mean, he just kind of like humored it, but I think us. I told him his friend Noah, our friend Noah, could be in it. Like, he'd be really funny. My barrier to entry is really fucking low of who I want in it. Like, as long as you're funny, I'm down to put you in it, and we'll get a great audience.
Dude, I'd show up. I would love to see that. I'd love to see you put that on.
Thank you. I'd love to have you there. That'd be so sick. Like, we'd have such a fun time. Tanner did a like play reading this week. Did I tell you about that?
No.
No? He so now he's like big enough as an actor that he's got like two TV shows on the air. That he's like kind of semi-reoccurring in. He's like getting hit up by people. And someone reached out to his manager and asked if he would do a just a one night play reading of their new play. It's like this big TV director that did it. So he did the play read. And everyone in the cast is pretty famous and like packed house. I couldn't even get a ticket. And that's it.
That's a wild idea to put like a TV director puts on a play and you get enough like famous people in it and it be I don't even know what that would involve, like how that crossover works. I don't know people still put on plays. Like it's amazing.
So the way that I see it is well, remember that Pressman, who we had on the podcast, Michael Pressman, he knew a company in LA that did plays.
He was putting on something, right? Like an
They're
alien.
putting on something. Yeah. So occasionally these like TV, directors for hire and things that kind of bounce around all these shows and stuff, and they're very successful, or writers that do like Law and Order and these procedural shows. A lot of times for their more like their opportunity to like flex their muscle and kind of do their non like procedural thing, they'll do like a play, even if it's in LA, where like I doubt one good play's ever gone on in LA since the 1940s. Um, and they'll like do a little like play or something, or like a play reading, just like for a night. And this person happened, she's a big director, and she just wrote a play. And I guess just to like kind of make an event out of it. I mean, you still produce it, spend a lot of money to put it up for a night. And you
So
have the
that's their whole plan with it. They're not going to do any other shows. It's just that one night.
How wild is that?
That is crazy.
I think it's just to raise awareness for the play and see what comes from it. Because that's the thing. It's literally the haves and the have-nots. And that's why it's such a bad business. Because if you're a have, a lot of the time you don't even have to, you're yes so much, you don't have to develop your character. It's like the pretty girl in high school. Doesn't have to develop character because you're just so pretty and no one's gonna say no to you. You won't have to go back to the drawing board and
Wait,
challenge
so the
yourself.
metaphor is like you can get anyone you want in the play, basically.
More than that, they can like they don't even have to have a business plan to the one night play. They can
They're just like, hey, let me put on a play. Let's get
just
all my
drop
famous
money.
friends.
Yeah, get together, something good will come from it. And by the way, some stuff good does probably come from that type of thing, and that's why they're able to do it all the time. But you'll see with most movies nowadays or anything that's on TV, Exhibit A, most stuff is crap because they get yes by their little vacuum of people that would love to act in it
Yep.
Everything has high production value, looks fine and
Yep.
stuff. And so they just keep making these things. But if you take a closer look, you're like, these are not artistically inspired.
And are you mostly talking about directors who are kind of like spearheading that stuff, or everybody basically?
Directors, writers, actors.
Because you're so right when it's that easy to just put something up and the financing is there and whatever, whatever. But that's why I have even more respect for the people who hold themselves to such a high standard. And it's only a handful of people. Mike Flanagan is a good example. People who really have this standard of quality. And ultimately, that just helps them continue to ascend. But it's like relentless beating on your craft and continuing to just try to make like really, really good shit, not just because you can, but like they
It's the
really hold
right thing to do.
themselves to that standard. That's what's inspiring.
Agreed. I know. I think there's a lot of people out there that are like what you just described though, that no matter what, they don't drink the Kool-Aid necessarily, and they'd prefer to just kind of go back to the drawing board and like really find what blows their minds and is a riveting story.
You know what? I think part of that is also the ones who don't make it when they're like 20 years old.
One would think, yeah.
Because I mean, you see, I guess like I don't know, Drake Bell, Josh Peck, like that type. You know what I mean? Child stars who then they're still coming out with some stuff, but it's not like. And then you got the people, and I guess Mike Flynn.
No, I don't think that's a good example at all.
What's a better example?
Because they're not the ones that are like making the stuff they're in. They're just actors for hire.
That's true.
And like the stuff they would love to make great stuff. Those are very talented, funny people that like made great shows, in my opinion. And like
Shy.
they were the ones that created it, but like their sense of humor is great.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
a
That's true. Maybe
lot
just
of the crap they make now is like they're just,
the
they're
opportunities have
lucky to
dried
get it.
up. The opportunities have dried up. You're right. Except Josh Peck was in that randomly. I was watching Oppenheimer and he was there in like a crucial role. Did you
Good
not
for him.
catch him? I was
No,
there in the theaters. I'm like, the fuck is that Josh? Yeah.
I'm That's awesome.
But yeah, you haven't seen Oppenheimer?
No.
You know what? I mean, overhyped. Except the crazy thing about that movie, and I've never experienced this before. I had like my AMC app and I booked it for 2.5 months out to see the first screening, the first night in like the special, like whatever film reel thing. And I never do that shit. I don't know why I did, but I go in there and literally every single seat is filled. And it was trippy because it was like an IMAX screen and I was immersed in the thing. But then I look over to my right and left and it's like a sea of people. There wasn't one empty seat. Everyone was
Huh.
hyped for that movie, but I wasn't the biggest fan.
Yeah, I heard it was kind of boring, but then some people loved it.
Yeah. But yeah, I do think that there's something to that of like if you make it later, then you know that the opportunities they weren't always there for you. And if you are a tastemaker, if you're a director or whatever, then like you're gonna have more respect for when those opportunities are there. I
Yeah. That being said, I think it comes down to values because just because you're older doesn't mean like if it comes easy. I've had glimpses of things coming easy, and I remember thinking like, wow, if this was my life all the time. It would be fun to not try.
Do you know what's wild is how much of a roller coaster this shit is, and I experienced this shit too, where it's like for a week or even like a couple
Yeah.
days, your
Yeah.
mentality completely shifts to that mindset of like, no, I'm on, like everything's coming to me. It's
Yeah.
and then
It's,
like something shitty happens like in 3 days, and you're like, oh fuck,
I
like
know. It's like I'm worse off than I was even before because now I've had to face the big time.
that's the life, bro. That's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing. But um, so I guess if you were to be Brad Pitt or Leo DiCaprio, where everything's been good, like they in interviews literally are just like they're like, gotta be real. It's been pretty good for us. Which is like fine. I appreciate that they said that. Like if they were to say like, oh, the grind is so tough and everything, that would have felt a little like insincere or something. Like I don't know. It was kind of whatever. I liked hearing that. They're like, plain and
It's
simple,
true.
we're being
But you know
appreciative.
what though? When you're in those positions too, like Jack Nicholson turned to like on The Departed, he turned to Matt Damon and was like, you know what, Matt? I the reason why I've had such a long career is I'm a damn good writer. And it's because he is able to discern material that is going to stand the test of time. That's why almost everything that he did, I mean, there were some fumbles, but almost everything he did was just a home run. And you see also Leo DiCaprio too. There was that span in like the 2010s kind of where just everything, and there was a panel with him and Brad Pitt bringing those two guys up
Mhm.
where Brad was like, I have a lot of respect for Leo and the choices that he's made because when you're at that level as an actor, you got to be when you can literally pick whatever the fuck you want and you have every director just at your beck and call and every piece of material, you got to be able to discern like what is the next right piece of material, and that would be a hard thing to do, like and reinventing yourself too, like Brad Pitt in what was it, that train movie, oh, Bullet Train. There was a style and an aesthetic to that for me completely reinvented Brad Pitt,
Mhm.
so it's just
Yeah,
making
man.
these smart choices.
Yeah, yeah, I suppose so. It's like what's going to when you don't have to say no to anything, what's going to push you forward to do the right stuff? And it's
That's it.
like, yeah.
I come from a difficult place too. It's a different thing. But when I have an idea, I have to be careful about what I get excited about because sometimes the thing that I'm excited about might not be the right next best thing. And you see it. Like you see the Joker 2 lost 150 mil. $150 million. Where like the first one was like a record box office thing or whatever. I forget how much it made. But
Mhm.
like for whatever reason, the director and the creators behind that were like, I forget what it's called, Claire de Lune or something. They're like, oh man, like this concept, it's like so, innovative or fresh, and Lady Gaga's a part of it, and it's a surefire thing. And then it loses $150 million. So it's like, you
Good
never,
example. I think they probably, to me, it comes off as like they got off on just the hype of Lady Gaga at her artistic peak, Joaquin Phoenix, this like so moody artist and everything, doing this moody villain movie that's like trying to be like a human portrayal of it. And Joaquin Phoenix apparently has like ruined a few of the movies he's been in the last while. I think he ruined Napoleon. He didn't really play Napoleon. He seemed like he just kind of did himself and said the lines and like, played it a little bit, but he didn't play like the attitude of the French and the anger and the miscast and everything. And then this one, it sounds like also like he just mumbles through all these movies because is that what tortured artists are supposed to do? It's like bullshit to me.
yeah, and it's amazing. He was literally, this is the up and down of actors or creatives or whatever, but at the highest level. Because
Well,
straight,
I don't think the Joker was good, the first one person. I think it was overhyped, and I think he got away with it then.
oh, you didn't like that movie?
I personally did not.
See, that's the thing. I love the movie. So obviously you hate it.
Yes, obviously. I
Yeah,
think he got away with being kind of like a mumblecore and everything, and same thing they did in Her.
it was realistic, bro. It was dark. He laughed like that because he had a condition. It was deep.
Oh, so revolutionary. Continue. Wait, I kind of cut you off.
Yeah, and you like the blue milk in that one fucking rom-com, whatever, like the classic British one. Like you love the blue milk part or whatever.
The Invention of Lying with Ricky Gervais.
Something else. Do you like the invention of lying?
I, I can't say I do. I remember
Okay,
that
we
movie.
agree there. We agree there.
Yeah, that's good. Oh.
Yeah, it's wild, man. Like, and what's crazy too is like the way that the studios see it, and there is a breakdown of studios right now, which I'll touch on, but the way that the studios see it is like if you've made money then suddenly you're like a surefire or like an extra piece of certainty that they can put in the pot. Like when my first two films make a shit ton of money, the studios are now going to be approaching me and they're going to go, man, like, you really know what you're doing. But at the end of the day, no one knows what the fuck they're doing. And we're artists because we're trying new shit. And it's just like when you're playing with more money, it's more risky. And then that's why you lose 150 mil on the Joker too. But but the thing is, bro, we're reaching a new, and I really want to touch on this. We're reaching a new era where it's like before studios, like they would put together these packages and the agencies would package things together. And there's still some of that. But everyone that I talk to at the high level is telling me the same thing, which is we're entering this era where it's going to go back to indie films, and those are going to be acquired by the bigger places. So, as indie filmmakers, we have to figure out ways to finance, get things off the ground, execute, come out with really high quality, high concept things, and then they'll just be picked up because they're no longer like the whole era of Netflix forking over
Yeah.
millions and millions of dollars is it's just not a thing anymore. People are
Right.
either in-house there for smaller amounts or they've got the Marvel shit or whatever, or it's on the indie filmmaker to make their thing and then it gets picked up.
Well, for good news for us. Have you been listening to Doug Allen's podcast?
No, catch me up.
Oh, dude, it's all been going. I haven't. He's so funny, man. I will say he just knows how to rattle off his anger.
Is he still angry?
Oh, angrier than ever. It makes for good comedy.
For
He
sure, man.
spares no grievances, man. He just starts he'll name names. He just goes in and then he'll like he can still like the person that wronged him, but it's just so funny. And so I've been seeing him a bunch in person lately.
Yeah.
Little name drop there. And I'll tell him, dude, like me and my podcast partner, we listen to you. And what did I bring up?
I mean, I'm still at like episode 11 or what, or like I've listened to the majority of them at this point. It's a newer podcast, so I'm pretty much caught up.
Mhm. Yeah, he says he makes a little money on it, but he loves it. Like even the other day, I was like, we're playing pickleball, and it was on Yom Kippur, and I'm like, everyone's like, oh, it's Yom Kippur. They're like, did you fast today? And someone's like, no. And I'm like, well, you're a bad Jew. Shoot me. I'm like, Doug, you literally hear it. That's the line from Entourage. I always say on Yom Kippur episode, brilliant episode. They go home, and everyone's supposed to be fasting. And the old grandpa, he takes a bite, and she goes, "Dad, what are you doing? You're fasting." He's like, "Oh, so I ate a little early. I'm a bad Jew. Shoot me." And I told Doug that, and he's like, "Dude, that guy is one of the great comic actors. Like that, yeah, he's just a legend." It's so funny, like he, there's so much that he experienced with like Hollywood
Yeah.
and amazing actors and writing and all these creators that I need to find a way to like address it more with him.
Well, I think just being around them and hearing that stuff, even me on the outside, like hearing the podcast is helpful. Um, what it seems like it's coming down to is, you know, he tried to recently put up this thing, which unfortunately doesn't sound like it's working out.
Mhm. That's got another show too.
Great. But like he's making the point of how like every time that you try to get something off the ground, like regardless of level, it's like a giant fucking thing. And it's
Oh
like
yeah.
you gotta really put a shit ton of energy and hit up these people and follow up. And I think he talked about the art of following up, which like that's been really helpful for me. But like following up and like just getting after it, and it's just it's exhausting. Like it's a whole it's like a all-consuming thing.
Yeah, he's like, if you don't just love it and want to do it every second, then you're not gonna do it.
Also, he said at the top of like four podcasts how he's forgotten to record. And he's like, I had the most brilliant thing and I didn't hit record.
Dude, very funny dude. What else has been going on? You haven't watched Slow Horses?
What's that? I'm sure I'll hate it. What is it?
Yeah, it's like the best TV show out right now. Just won a few Emmys. It's on Apple. Gary Oldman plays the
Oh
main.
yeah, you mentioned that. Gary
Yeah,
Oldman.
yeah. It's like Breakfast Club meets James Bond because,
Wild comps.
well, for sure. It's about MI6 in England as secret agents and this division of it that's supposed to be like all the burnouts, like they're not treated well. And how they always end up getting into this crazy stuff. And it's a dope show, really fun. I just finished season 5 or 4.
I have a hard time watching shows. I never want to stay with characters that long. I just want to be in and out. Dip my toe in the water, get out of there. Get the fuck out.
But based on my opinions of things, do you think I just love watching long shows where I just like no. My point is no. I need to be sold on something, which I'm sure anyone does.
Yeah. So moving forward, what's kind of what's the next focus? You got so many irons in the fire. What's kind of the trajectory for Duke this next week?
I got some value mentality stuff to do for sure.
Like,
Uh, uh like mapping out the numbers for that thing. I can't even think right now, dude. Sorry.
bro, it's wild. We hit 8:30 and it's just a sharp
Oh yeah.
line.
Brain turned to mush.
When do you go to sleep usually?
When?
Yeah. What time do you usually go to sleep?
Excuse me, I'm not sipping from a carafe of espresso right now. Like you.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, bro, I'll probably be
Oh,
asleep at like 9:15.
no shit. Really?
I get up at 6:45, 6:30.
That's wild. That's what, like 9 hours of sleep.
Yeah, I'm a growing boy.
Bro, I'm jealous, man. I mean, I can't, I feel like if I get that much sleep, I'm like, oh, what did I miss out on? I gotta be working. I gotta be working. I'm up at
You seem way more energetic than I do.
again the espresso. But yeah, bro, like I'm usually going to sleep at 12, get up at 5. Pretty standard.
That's insane.
That's it,
That's
bro. I don't think everyone needs the same amount of sleep. I think that's the thing.
unfortunately.
But bro, 9:15 is impressive.
Yeah, counting down the minutes.
I can tell. You want
Uh,
early?
yeah, that's how I got.
Bro, always fun, man. I hope you have a good week.
Thanks, my dude. You as well. Talk soon.
All right, brother. Bye.
All right, brother. Peace.